do an intro?
Nah, we'll just talk.
I thought it was quite interesting, me trying to provoke Salter today. But it's like a nice... The I don't care, the idea that the whole control structure is internal, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we're in this, I feel now, and this was what was making me so angry last night, we're in this web of control, and I'm being controlled by people that are about 2 nodes away from me.
Yeah.
And because of their fear, I have to operate in a certain way. And when I make decisions, I don't consider them, and then suddenly they come into play. And then I have to, say I'm not coming here, or...
Yeah.
It's just, it was making me so annoyed. Than
Yeah.
what you were saying to me.
I know.
About the fundamental no. That was frustrating to me, as what you were saying, but also, you are right, I think. And
I think I'm right in that instance.
yeah.
Just because this isn't going to end.
Yeah,
It's not like one day that there is not going to be a return to normal if they can have it like that.
That's what I was taking your annoyance, and then I just passed it on to my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then I was just screaming at her, when's it going to end? Because she cares for this, disabled woman.
Yeah.
So I was screaming, I don't care about her, I just want her to die. I don't care, she said, she should die right now. I just want to go out and drink beer. Me drinking beer is far more important than her life. Because she's so far removed from me, she's so abstract, I really don't care about her.
Well, yeah. I mean, people can't live their lives like that. That's why it's a method of control. It's not rational or reasonable, And I said it to you. I don't think if you can't be rational or be reasonable, and you just live or die by this fear, then you're not really a conscious being.
No, I totally agree. Consciousness for me is the choice. Having a choice and expressing that is consciousness. How can I describe it? It's that's the spark.
Yeah. Exactly. Freedom of choice, freedom of will. Free will.
Because it's like these determinists that live in this deterministic reality, and they go, well, what's the point? Everything's determined for me. They've already collapsed their consciousness by having the view that they don't have power.
Yeah.
That's why I think determinism is moral syphilis.
That's a lovely phrase. A lovely turn of phrase.
Because it's I'm choosing overall that I have no choice. Well, of course you don't have choice if you choose not to have choice.
Yeah, exactly.
But even if you have a deterministic view where you are the machine, reality still has to run through you as the machine to create the next iterative event, And if it wasn't you, it would be a simulation of you, which is the same as you. I just hate determinists.
Yeah, okay, you lost me slightly, but I also hate determinists.
But today with our friend, this argument of I choose not to care. I choose to care about people, but I choose not to take on this concept of fear.
Exactly.
So with you, what I was saying, that's what I was saying, the distinction with you is it's although yes, I do certain things because other people, because I care about them, I don't care about what they care about.
Yeah.
And everything is done sort of smiling and laughing at how retarded the whole situation is. But then last night it did come to really make me quite irate.
Yeah. I just try and laugh at everything now. My mum will show me the next new thing. She's just read the Daily Mail article, and they're saying that they can use the MMR vaccine to cure coronavirus. It doesn't make any sense. And I was of course it doesn't make any sense. It's designed not to make any sense, because you don't even need to persuade people of anything anymore, because they've given up any iota of sovereignty that they might have had at the beginning. This is the thing, if you don't, half the people in the world don't want the responsibility
they choose to
look after themselves. So it's the sayings, if someone came along and took your chains away from you, you'd accuse them of stealing.
That's so funny. Well, Jesus was a shepherd. The whole point of it is, if you have free will, then you have to take care of the people that choose not to have free will. But at the moment, I think these people are always going to choose to do what other people want them to do because it's more comfortable. But the person, I think, maybe at this level where you make choices, you have to, maybe your motive is to get into a position where you can help these people that are always going to be sheep. Because what we've been trying to do is trying to go, hey, you're not sheep, you're real people. And then they just go, bah. There's nothing comes back. So instead of that, it's like, okay, these people, these shepherds that are raping the flock, we need to get that, like, sorted out so that the sheep are happy at least.
Well, that's it.
Not
like,
happy.
The shepherds are just saying, come with me to the abattoir.
All they've done is they've gone, your field is now really, really small. It's the size of your house, and you can't leave it, and you can't talk to the other sheep. Like, bah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. In terms of your situation, I just think that it is like.
No, I've decided I can stay tonight. If I can.
I would love you to.
Okay.
Really. It would make.
Well, I've just decided what I'm going to say is I've just had too many beers.
Yeah.
But it's like, Rose is also explaining that, like, these long texts, I was like, oh, for goodness sake, so long.
It's really difficult to do anything over a text. That's why when we were having the conversation earlier on the group chat,
you were raging.
Well, no, I wasn't raging.
It sounded like you were raging.
Really? I was just trying to like provoke. And I wasn't explaining myself because I was like, there's no point explaining myself over like a group chat. So that's why I was just saying stupid stuff like Chinese cringe aids doesn't exist.
One of our friends, you know who I'm talking about, thinks he's acting as if he's manoeuvring me into a position to attack me. But I can see his moves so clearly and obviously. It's like, who do you usually argue
They were
with?
really dumb. They were sophistry, and I just said you're just being a sophist.
What does sophist mean?
It's okay, so it's someone who makes sort of roundabout arguments that appear to be like intelligent, but they just aren't. It's just rhetoric.
He was like, okay.
And he was like, you just sound like the HuffPost. Well, I don't read the HuffPost, so I don't know what you're talking about.
The straw man he constructed was like, so you're saying if you would go to a red light, you would run someone over because it would save you 2 minutes.
And that is sophistry because he's doing these hypotheticals that are just completely retarded.
Growing up, my argument would like just instantly destroy my dad to make him so angry was just going, I don't care. Like, you're having an argument with someone and then suddenly you decide to change direction. You just do a 180 and just become the most apathetic person in the world.
Yeah. Well, that's the
because
thing.
you realise you have choice over this thing that's upsetting maybe two people. Then you go, actually, I don't care. And then they're still upset. They're still ploughing down this direction of being annoyed, and you've just like pulled into a lay-by.
Just pulled into a lay-by. No, but that is sort of
like, how could you not care about this? Well, I just don't.
Why wouldn't you want an app where you can trace the amount of deaths that everyone's having? It's like, well, because I don't want to focus on something that, frankly, I don't even believe in. It's not that I don't believe people are dying. Obviously, people are dying, but people die every day. It's not, it's not a matter that coronavirus doesn't exist, but it doesn't exist as people understand it to exist.
I think if you said, I'm going to take you're going to have a 100-sided dice. If you roll it and get a 1, you'll die. Or I can take away all your freedom.
Or you're not allowed to die, so you're not allowed to play roll.
Or you have to go in this cage and do nothing. It's like, I'll roll the dice, but the dice is like a 10,000-sided dice.
And 9,999
I would roll the 6-sided dice. I would flip the 2-sided coin. I don't care. And when I flipped it, I wouldn't care. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because when you don't have a choice, you're already dead. So it's a win-win situation.
Well, exactly.
Do I get to gamble? I'm not even... The side of the gamble is I'd already be dead if I didn't have this choice. Or I could have a chance to die if I do have a choice. But
it's like my godmother who her daughter's not allowing her to see her grandchildren because she's in the vulnerable class. Right? But she's just like so depressed. What's the point of living? Like, is it worth living a little bit longer and just having a horrible life, or would you rather die? Like, and I think most old people would rather take the risk.
People love dying.
Yeah, I think they're like,
but also,
get me off this plane of existence,
like you were saying,
please.
and you've made me think this more. It's just like, so you can do this now, but you're not going to do it later because it's not going to go. It's not going to go away. Not that it exists, but it's not going to go away.
No.
So you're going to have wasted all this time, but then you're going to go back to normal.
Yeah.
And that's like the guys are flattening the curve.
And the curve's already flattened.
So my brother's a doctor. At no point has he been busy.
Yeah, exactly. He's just like, let's get a discount at Domino's.
All he does is sit at home getting discounts on takeaway food. They could easily call him into a hospital, but they don't.
Yeah.
He's like put his name down, like, yes, I'm ready to save the world. They're just like, we'll call you if it comes to that. And it hasn't.
No, but did you see that picture of? It was like a cartoon recreation of all these Marvel characters. It's a hospital hallway, and all these Marvel characters standing either side, and they're all bowing down, and these sort of NHS workers strolling down.
Never have doctors had more time than they have now.
Yeah, I know. And they're treated like, I mean, obviously doctors do a great job, but they're treated like veritable religious idols.
I want to go on a tirade against doctors. You already have the most prestigious job in society, and it pays quite well. And around the country, so many people are losing their jobs and fearing that for their careers, their businesses have been destroyed. But there's a few professions where that doesn't happen, and being a doctor is one of them. So you keep the job you've always done, and you do it in the same way, but now you're a glorious hero, and you've got even more prestige than the most prestigious job already had.
And
whereas everyone else is losing their jobs, but you're still doing yours, and you're a hero.
And they're doing less of their job.
You signed up for this job because it's a glorious job. Talking about privilege, like, you are able to do that because you're really clever, and you were born, luckily, so clever that you can do this awesome job where barely anyone else could.
Yeah.
And it's so absurd.
I think just going back to this idea of people's minds being marshmallow and they're just sheep. People have honestly fallen into this idea absolutely that death didn't exist before COVID-19.
It's so true.
Like people didn't die anyway, and now this is the only cause of death. And also, stuff like terrorism. COVID was great because it ended terrorism, so that was cool. But people just don't seem to have any memory or context.
I have the same feeling about terrorism, though. I would rather not care and not do all these excessive things and worry and checks, just to have that, even if it's a 1 in 1,000 chance of dying, which it's not. It's like a 1 in 10 million chance. I'm happy to roll these dice for my freedom, and I never cared.
Well, that's the thing. What Thomas Jefferson said, if you were to, I'm paraphrasing, but if you were to give up your freedom for security, you don't deserve either.
Well, that's what everyone has done.
Exactly. What's funny? The movie V for Vendetta?
Yeah. 2020 was the virus.
Yeah. So the whole plot is the world right now. In 2020, there was a pandemic, and in came a government to take away your freedoms in exchange for your security.
We have to wait till 2036 to don the mask, don't we? That's what it said.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he's like reminiscing of when it all happened, and it's based on that event.
Yeah. Anonymous is sort of back up and running, but it's just
so
fence. It's like straight up fence.
They were talking about Black Lives Matter.
Yeah. The whole thing is they're just run by.
That was sort of
spooks.
nice to see because I was like, I remembered how Anonymous used to be cool.
Yeah. Have you seen the Ice Cube stuff?
Oh yeah, Ice Cube's being cool again.
Yeah, it's so funny because at the beginning he was like just riffing on Trump, and so everyone's
Does he like
yeah.
Trump?
No, he was saying like Trump is oppressing black people, and everyone's like, yeah, fuck Trump. And then he goes, oh, and here's a picture of Trump with Jeffrey Epstein. And everyone's like, yeah. And then he's like, oh, and also here's a picture of Bill Gates with Jeffrey Epstein. And everyone's like, yeah, I guess, yeah, cool. And then he does this mural that Jeremy Corbyn once took a picture before, and it's a mural of like these sort of black like bodies bent over, and there's this chessboard on top of it, and then there's like these bearded white men around it, and it's known as an anti-Semitic mural. Yeah, because obviously those guys are all Jews.
I love the Jeremy Corbyn Labour Party.
And then suddenly everyone's like, Ice Cube, you don't realise, but that's an anti-Semitic mural. You can't be saying that. And then he starts going on about the black cube of Saturn.
Oh, I like that as well.
And then he posts a picture of the Star of David.
Yeah, obviously it's a cube.
Yeah.
It's the cube you're imprisoned in. I love the Labour Party's anti-Semitic meme. It's like, they're so pathetic. They don't need any more, like, you don't need to bring them down anymore. They've already lost.
Who?
The Labour Party.
Right, yeah.
It's like...
Yeah, what do you mean their whole thing about having to apologise for anti-Semitism?
Yeah. It's like just kicking someone while they're down.
I don't even recall what part of anti-Semitism happened, but it's interesting because the reason
Corbyn just living his life and not caring about politics, while being the second most politically important person.
The interesting thing about it was that the Labour anti-Semitism came from all the Muslims that supported Labour. So this Muslims is like this eternal irony that the Labour are always going to suffer with, is because they obviously support all the minorities, but then there's so many minorities who are anti-Semitic.
Muslims hate Jews. Yeah. Muslims like Labour. Labour hates Jews.
But then, like, traditionally, Jews have supported Labour because they're the left-wing, socialist, globalist kind of.
Yes, because they imported them into the country. They ordered 5 million Jews for the next election. How are we going to get elected? I'm just on Amazon. There's 5 million Muslims I can order.
Just send them over from Lebanon and no, forget Lebanon. They're too based. Send them over from Yemen instead.
How are we going to get them in? Well, we'll just topple Gaddafi, shall we?
Yeah, and Boris Johnson. It's just I was thinking back because obviously I think he's just a cynic, and so he'll just do whatever. Like every politician, who just sort of scum.
He's a meme cynic.
Will just do whatever gets them popularity in the moment. So the eternal contradictions that they go through don't really matter because the people's memory is so small anyway. And my mum thinks Boris Johnson's. She keeps on saying, "Yeah, I think Bojo's been nobbled."
Nobbled.
And I'm like, what does nobbled mean, Mum?
Killed. Killed, but in a really
not killed.
Nice British way.
Oh dear, my neighbour was nobbled by a car the other day. But no, she thinks that when Boris went into hospital, they just did some mind control shit on him. But I'm just
when Kanye went to hospital.
Yeah, but I'm just like, no, I think Boris was just a cynic from the beginning. He doesn't actually care.
Jeremy Vine has such a good article on Boris. It's so good, where he talks about how he's like chairing some speech to all these businessmen. You should just read the article, but he comes to this table and he acts as if he's not prepared the speech, and he writes down he comes to the table, he's like, so late, and he's like, you're on in 2 minutes, Boris, talking to hundreds of high-powered business executives, and he's like, so where am I? Who am I talking to? And it's like, well, it's this business. I know some complex business thing they're trying to explain. So he's like, so what is? I want to say venture capital. Obviously, he knows what that is, but it's something like that.
Yeah.
And then he's jotting down what it is, and he sees him write these words like sheep, and then he goes up and does this speech, and at the end he tells the joke wrong, and everyone loves him. I'm telling the article so.
No.
But then it
sounds just like Boge.
The way the article has this twist is Jeremy Vine is then at another speech that Boris is doing, and he comes in and he doesn't know. He acts like he doesn't know what's going on again, and he does the exact same speech, which is the speech which is intended to seem like he's not prepared, he doesn't know anything. But in doing the same speech, unprepared speech twice, it shows how cynical he is. That he knows his image is someone that doesn't prepare and bumbles. Everyone loves that.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think, like Trump, they both are meticulous geniuses in terms of their own image. They portray themselves. I mean, it's funny because my girlfriend's dad thinks Boris has a neurological disorder because he's just like, and he can't speak properly. And I think like maybe he just does it on purpose.
I think all these people that like think Trump and Boris Johnson are dumb, it's so pathetic. Like, they've
pathetic.
dominated society, and maybe they haven't played by the rules, but I think Trump sort of did play by the rules. He just made a new rule using social media.
Yeah.
And he did what had never been done before.
Yeah.
And he captivated everyone. He's an absolute genius.
I think he's a genius. I do think, though, his campaign wasn't genuine, but what he did do was spark a genuine sort of right-wing sentiment in his country.
On the chans, we sort of, like, there were adverts for Trump. There were, like, $20 adverts that were at the bottom of H&M. It was, like, this sort of signified this, like, fake grassroots movement. So, like, you can move culture if you're very clever about it, and if you see it in the right place, and get this powerful machine going in the direction you want it.
Yeah, definitely. And also,
but you have to be so clever to make it seem grassroots.
Yeah, and they have access to, like, every PR fag imaginable. You know, they can get them all to. I mean, that's the whole thing about AstroTurfing. I didn't realise that AstroTurf is called AstroTurf because of grassroots.
Oh, I didn't realise that.
Yeah,
That's so good. Fake grass.
Fake grass, exactly. Yeah. You know, like, this is the thing about Black Lives Matter. It's AstroTurf completely because it's been around for 5 years and it's funded by George Soros's Open Society Foundation.
It's absolutely genius how divisive it is.
Yeah.
How they can make so many white people hate black people just because they're out of the house, all in these huge groups, and everyone just looks at them going like, "Well, this is exactly what we're not doing."
I didn't go to my grandma's funeral because I was obeying the rules, and literally you're just toppling.
I live alone.
I've
not seen anyone, and you're just looting places.
Yeah, and.
It's just so wonderfully divisive, but I think it's such a good move to divide people. And they only just, like just I was saying, I'm just disappointed how people were manipulated. Yeah, it's a great move to divide people. Yeah. And instead of us going, well, we're controlled by these people that have imprisoned us in our own houses, you just go, you hate black people, don't you? Because they're all outside having... The whole thing about Black Lives Matter, it says, it's Black Lives Matter too. The whole implication of the phrase Black Lives Matter is it's opposes white. The opposite of black. Yeah. Black Lives Matter. It's fundamentally, the phrase is against white.
Yeah. But it can be framed as, oh no, it's not. It's just Black Lives Matter.
But they say that it's such bullshit. When you read it, you know it's black versus white.
Yeah. But I think that's like the crux of the issue is that, you know, minorities in Western countries will cannot help but frame their own identities under that guise, you know, in opposition to living in a white society.
It's just the Holocaust all over again. The Jews have the playbook, and they've slipped it to the black people, and they've gone, well, this is how we control this society.
Yeah. Well, I told you the red pill of I think the NAACP, which is the National Advances of Coloured People, was started and funded, and they're like the main guys were all Jews.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. You know, but obviously Ice Cube's starting to get that, and I've been reading Black Twitter, and people are like, "Hold on a minute, why is Black Lives Matter owned and funded by a Jew?"
I don't really blame black people for getting out of the house and
I think
trying to
they're
promote,
kind of based for doing
trying to
that,
get more rights and promote blackness. Like, if you have the opportunity,
yeah. I don't blame them for promoting blackness. They are black. Like, of course, that's what they should be doing. That's what everyone should do. Promote your own, you know, unmutable characteristics.
But it's just like, there's no need for them to create a divide with us and then have this discourse of them and us. Because we're in the same position. We're both being controlled.
Yeah.
We should work together, I think.
Yeah.
And yes, I think we have differences that are inconsolable.
Yeah.
But at a time when we're forced together, we should work together.
Yeah, no, I agree, but that's the, you know, it's like it's like group 1 is white people, group 2 is black people, and group 3 are the globalist controllers, and Group 3 constantly use Group 2 to batter.
Yeah, the
Like
sword.
Exactly. Like
They pick up this sword and they
club
just
batter
swing it
Group
to you.
1.
Yeah. And so many people I know have really become radicalised in their racism because of this.
Which is funny because I don't think that was the intended.
No, I think it was definitely the intent.
Do you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just kind of think that's a natural outcome of chaos that will ensue in a multicultural society.
Oh, it is true, but if you could accelerate that, but they've created this multicultural society for that reason.
Yeah.
That was the design of it.
Yes,
and this
absolutely.
is the fruit of it.
Yeah. Well, I think, and obviously it's only done in Western societies because it's Western people that are the only ones that would be able to stand up properly to what the sort of nefarious globalist forces want to do with the world.
Well,
like obviously you're not going to obviously we're not moving to Tanzania and making a corner shop in Delhi or whatever.
it was done in the West because this was the seat of power and the most important place to control.
Yeah.
And from this control, other control is the next layer down. It too has that bit where it's like at the Olympics. If you look at the Chinese gymnastics team, it's just all other countries. You just look at their teams and they're just an ethnicity. And then it's the West. It's like a Britain, USA.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's becoming other like France.
Yeah. The French football national football team.
Yeah. But any other country like
a conglomeration
Argentina,
of West Africa,
China, like Mexico, Eastern Europe, it's just the same person, copy pasted 10 times.
Yeah.
And then for the West, for the most economically developed places, it's just like the whole world is there.
Yeah, yeah. Did you see the picture of? So it's the London train map superimposed onto the entire world.
Oh, that was so good. I feel like we're in the same Twitter circles now. But
okay. I've got some people on Twitter that you should follow that you'll really like because they're like highly esoteric.
That was cool. And then in Africa, it was like
not built. Under construction.
And everyone on Twitter was like, "This is really cool, but why is this African stuff?" And I was like, "You're not getting. Do you know where you are?"
But you know what's funny is that
people walk into right-wing Twitter accident.
It was leftist, sort of globalist fans who made that picture in the first place because they were like, "Isn't this wonderful? A world connected." Like a London tube map. And then after Africa's just under construction. They don't get the connotation that they're implying.
I was really analysing that.
Africa
really
cannot deal with trains. Which reminds me of that that documentary, Empire of Dust.
What is it?
Where the Chinese engineer goes to... I think he goes to the Congo and he's looking around at train tracks that are completely dilapidated and he's like, "Oh, you will give it everything." and he just this quote is it's all so tiresome. And it's this high IQ Chinese engineer.
But the Chinese is the opposite because whatever they're given, they improve and run with and take it to such an unnecessary extreme.
Yeah, but they can't really create things.
No, it's let's make this train go a million miles an hour. It's well, we just invented the internet over here. Yeah. We don't need to get on those stupid, incredibly fast trains.
But also, China are just strip mining Africa. So, what colonial...
Because they haven't developed a morality not to strip mine Africa.
Exactly. What colonial Western countries did, European countries, when they went to Africa... Yeah, they took it over and applied, British morals to Kenya or whatever, which I don't agree with.
No.
But they did try and educate. They did set up schools. They did educate them and whatever. But the Chinese just go in, take their minerals, give a bit of money to the dumbest dictator they can find, and then just hightail it back to Beijing and smoke some opium.
It's the same thing about the shepherd, isn't it?
That's exactly
the evil shepherd. Evil Chinese shepherds.
Yeah. Bloody Chinese. That's one thing Trump did warn everyone.
That's
China.
what's so amazing about his election when he said China, and now the virus has come from China.
Yeah.
It was most-
He probably manifested the virus.
It's
By
just
just
always
saying
I told you,
China.
like, what did I say? It's like, you said China like 10,000 times.
Yeah. And it was beamed around the world.
And now it's just like, the next election should just be him going, well, what did I say before? And just like replay a clip of him going, China. And then shots of like Wuhan bats being slaughtered, and then like pandemic numbers, like it all rising, and him just like the voiceover is him just going China really slowly, and like people just dying everywhere.
Oh, that's too
We
funny.
need to stop China. And he's like says that, and then all this happens. He's like, if you just listen. Now I will stop China.
I think in a way Trump does that. He's like, I'll wait until everything's completely destroyed so I can be vindicated, and then I'll go in and then do nothing again.
Yeah, because that's like maximum game theory.
Yeah, exactly.
Not helping people so you can have
Yeah.
a more powerful political position.
Well, that's actually the Hegelian dialectic, which is where you create something, let it destroy itself, and then come in with a solution at the end, instead of actually just dealing with it at the time.
Well, it's like if you've got yeah, the accelerationist really, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a clock, and every angle is pointing to acceleration.
What were you talking about? The Cali? What are they called? The K.
Kaliak, which is the Kali Yuga and accelerationists combined. It's like it's a corner of Twitter. It's cool. I like it.
I was saying like
So they're basically all Vedic scholars. Basically,
Scotland.
I don't know. I don't know many people who know so much about Vedic theology.
It's like when I went to India to like study yoga. That's where the Vedic tradition was preserved, isn't it?
It was preserved there.
Yeah.
It was created in the steppes. It's an Indo-European religion.
Yeah, but it's like
But
Indians.
obviously it was
they
foisted
preserved
on the Dravidians, who were the modern day Indians. And they preserved it but changed it into Hinduism.
But you look at these Vedic texts, and they're to me it seems so much better than the Christianity I've learned.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. Because they are the OG text. That's like the thing. That's why Kaliak is so popular.
But it's like when you read Marcus Aurelius, it's sort of like what he was doing, but it's just like how the whole point of it is how do we ascend? And yoga is developed because it's a physical tool to prepare your mind to be able to meditate better, so that you can self-actualize and then ascend.
Yeah. It's been helpful.
And then now we've just got Jordan Peterson saying clean your room. Well, we've got all these texts that are telling us how to self-actualize, but we have to go to the most mundane Kermit the Frog man.
But that's the irony. Jordan Peterson's whole mantra is just what your dad should have told you. Do you know what I mean?
If only Jordan Peterson was black,
Oh, he would be the most popular man in the
we
world.
wouldn't have any problems.
What if he just told black people, just clean your room? And they're like, oh, but I like my Nike shoes.
Jerome de Peterson.
Jerome de Peterson. That's brilliant. Someone should make that meme. You should make that meme.
Oh, just did.
I wish I could make memes. I just don't know how to use MS Paint.
In the height of like Pepe, I would make memes. Like I would make them in Rhino. I'd make them in like 3D software. They really weren't like spread. I didn't have viral.
Is that because you weren't
Viral
making them right?
No, I'll just make them really autistically and post them. I don't think I saw like one of my views reposted like once. It was a very proud moment, but then obviously that's pathetic numbers.
It's just, I don't know, I think meme makers are comedians
Oh, they are.
because they just tap into the conscious of their audience and they just understand, because some of the memes are just so goddamn stupid, but that's what makes them
But there's like
absolutely
prolific
hilarious.
meme makers, like I suppose the most mainstream Ben Garrison, Stone Toss. These people,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they have a career in meme making.
Yeah.
But the
Stone
people,
Toss is good.
the people that make these things, like the person that makes the Big Chungus meme, like it's just some random guy that photoshopped something for his brother. I don't know if you remember Big Chungus, that like it's Bugs Bunny but really fat. And it's something that
Okay,
becomes
yeah,
so
yeah.
viral, but it's just a very like sort of personal joke that one person finds very funny. Yeah, they're magic, obviously. Magic.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Because like comedians and like meme creators, who I would call comedians, have their finger on the button of culture, and they just
It's a pulse.
yeah, they just know how to do it. Like comedians can see the future. That's why they're so.
And Trump is the
I think
greatest comedian.
That's why comedy has been so maligned and like turned into just what's that fat Jewess talking about her vagina the entire time. Amy, her and Amy Schumer, and it's like that passes for comedy when obviously that's just.
I think comedy is horrific. So shit. Man.
It's awful. You know, people like Nick Cummings. Is that his name?
Nick Mullen.
Nick Cummings is like some Australian like a rugby player. He was funny though.
Was he?
Yeah, he was the honey badger. You remember that guy?
That stupid voiceover guy. I hate that guy.
And they obviously get cancelled. Like comedians were the original people to get cancelled, and now cancel culture is like everyone. You know, J. Cole was cancelled recently.
He's black.
I know. Which is bizarre, because black people aren't meant to be allowed to get cancelled.
J. Cole.
He said something like, I don't like this Queen's attitude, or something like that.
Was the Queen Beyonce?
I think the Queen is just a metaphor for all black women.
Gay people.
It's
J. Cole is hilariously bad at
like,
memeing. You know when Lil Pump was in a meme war with him, and he got everyone like at his gigs would just shout "fuck J. Cole,"
yeah.
and then J. Cole would be playing like the biggest festivals, and like 100,000 people would just be screaming "fuck J. Cole," and it was all because of the shittest rapper in the world. And it's like he would just have these really complicated raps about how like Lil Pump could rap.
Yeah.
But he would just say "fuck J. Cole."
Yeah.
He says 3 words and just ruins a man's career essentially.
But that goes back to, I mean, it's perfect because it goes back to like the group chat that we're having, where I was like, I'm not going to explain myself. I'm just going to say like, cry some more, or just something stupid, and maybe not. But you can just disarm an entire argument by just creating something that is stupid and funny.
You appeal to the lowest possible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The majority,
but in a way,
the majority is the lowest.
It does require intelligence and ability to appeal in a way that will galvanise the lowest common denominator.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
So it's a skill in itself.
Shepherding skill.
Yeah. Do you want to know the bit?
Absolutely. Because I'm here for the long haul.
Good. I'm really, like that. Honestly, made my day.
This has been the most frantic tournament I've ever done.
I think that was it's been really successful so far.
Just frantic. I think we should be called Frantic Friday.
Your golden orb marsh.
Oh, love either.
Okay.
I actually watched that documentary we were talking about. Did you watch it?
Which one? Oh, did you watch it?
Temple OS. Did you watch it?
No, I didn't.
It's the most depressing thing that's ever been recorded. And I love documentaries about mentally ill people like Crumb and The Devil and Daniel Johnston, but Christ, it was depressing.
What? To explain to me what
it's interesting about. Because it's this guy writes an operating system, which apparently is very hard to do. But I don't think it's that hard to do because this guy's a retard. So, like, one of the YouTube comments is like, so he writes an operating system without a compiler. He writes the compiler, and he's obsessed with saying writing a compiler is like, if you write a compiler, you're basically a programming god according to this guy. So the YouTube comments is like, writing an operating system line by line, writing like each letter of code is like a doctor inventing every bit of medicine he gives to a patient. Like, to give you an idea of how impressive some people think this is. So this guy's super clever. He goes on about his 1440 SAT score.
That's really high.
But it's just, I think anyone that talks about their SAT score, paradoxically, is a retard for doing it.
Yeah. Because you don't realise that an SAT score doesn't define your intelligence.
No, because social intelligence
it's like IQ.
Social intelligence, like we said on Tuesday, is far, far more important.
Yeah.
So he's sort of a self-described genius, and he writes the most retarded operating system, and he uses it to talk to God, and it's like basically a random number generator that goes through his program and then replies with words. So it's an awesome metaphor for we are the programmers of our own minds, we are gods, you know? because we program our own. So it's all like we use these computer metaphors to describe reality, but this person lives this life of being a computer.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll edit. Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's close at 8.
Yeah, that's fine. We will. Yeah, we're gonna take a pause in 10 minutes, and then we'll do that. But go inside unless you want to be on the radio.
What was I just rant? So this guy.
Okay, so let me just say, it's like, so when he created this randomized software, he felt like he talked to God.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like the Randonauts in a way.
Oh yeah, it's a very good point. But my understanding is all this schizophrenia is sort of lifting the veil, throwing it back before you're ready, and seeing the horror on the other side, and seeing like the machinery behind it, and then that destroying you, like I feel Jim Carrey did when he got into Kaufman's Spirit. And
Right. Okay.
so he's talking to himself through his programming language, and then he thinks he's talking to God. But for me, it's the same as that's sort of how I feel about reality. In that we are God's creating this reality in a joint sense, but he does it on his own. He says it's really cool, I think, when he says, "I've made this temple," and this is like, as the Bible predicted, the third reconstruction, yes, please, of Solomon's temple.
Is that what you said?
Yeah,
That's interesting. Because you know that they need to reconstruct Solomon's temple. This is
but he's like, he says I'm a Jew.
The Messiah to come.
And he says the N-word like 10 million times.
Like those tweets that I showed you.
Yeah. But
what's his name?
It's like you are speaking to yourself, and you are he is speaking to God. He realizes he is God, and that's destroyed him.
That's very interesting. And what's interesting, I suppose, is he's actually created a medium where it like has proved it for him, rather than you and I just, thinking we're God and therefore we can create. Yeah, we can create like we all are. But he's actually like inadvertently gone ahead and done it.
He's just lived the computational metaphor of the construction of this simulation.
Yeah.
And
the bloke we are talking about is
the creator of Temple OS.
Temple OS, and his name is, what is his silly name? Oh, Terry Davis.
It's so sad.
He also we thought the CIA were coming after him, and he thought he killed a CIA agent, ran him over with his car.
I think it's possible he was super clever. It's possible he was MK Ultra for being so clever. But also, I need to. Although I go on Hacker News every day, I don't understand the context of his achievement and how profound it was. Because his software was just. Some of it's really hilarious. Like these drawings, he's obsessed with elephants. He does all these drawings of elephants. So I didn't.
Right, as part of it, I don't understand.
Yeah, he was like.
I'm so computer illiterate, it's retarded. Like I said, I can barely use MS Paint.
I'm good with computers, and I feel like I feel like I could do what he did if I dedicated my life to it. But there's no point because the fruit was so pointless, and
yeah.
it didn't help anyone. It didn't.
Yeah, it's sometimes I think it's easier just to be grub-brained.
It's easy and very fun.
Yeah, it is.
But these people like they see too much, I think.
Yeah, well, sometimes I think that about myself.
I related to it really sadly. Like I could see, this sounds dark, but I could see myself becoming like. I felt his energy hard, and it was.
Really? He's still alive, and he
died.
Oh, he's dead.
He was in like a car accident. He was hit by a train. He committed suicide by train.
No, wow, suicide by train. That's really extreme.
But no one. It's like his family in his, like his Facebook obituary were like, we let him live freely. They didn't cage him. They let him just go around being mental. And he had all these followers on the chant because he said the M word so much. but also because it was so amazing to get so deep into someone's psyche, and he would masturbate on camera, and he thought he was married to this this YouTuber. But the curiosity. No, she was like a physics YouTuber. But the curiosity is to have someone so mentally ill but so clever. Someone cleverer than you, who is so mentally ill that they cannot live.
Yeah.
Is incredibly curious. And that's the profundity of it.
Profundity.
But the documentary is made in such a boring way that there's this place called...
Who made the documentary?
There's like forums that just operate on analysing really wacky and mentally ill internet personas, and they've recorded like half the documentaries because I think they would catalogue his antics.
Okay.
It's called like Kiwi something. But people are so curious about the human condition. Anyway, yeah, it's like I'd say it's one of the most depressing things you could possibly watch. And when I was in my mood last night, it was like so low. Probably the lowest it's been for this year at least.
Really?
Because I catalogue my mood on a scale of 1 to 5 every day.
Do you?
Yeah, and it's like...
That's not been
like
really
good
helpful
law. No, because it's like whenever every measure that is a target ceases to become a good measure and just becomes. So it's almost like I target a good mood, and I'm feeling like recording a good mood just means like I strive for that when I should strive not necessarily to be the happiest person on a day-to-day basis. But yeah, I record 1 to 5. Since I went to that TED talk with Oscar about
mental health,
what number are you? So I write it down, and it got to a 2 yesterday, and that's the lowest it's ever been.
What do you think 1's going to be like?
It's usually gonna be like it's so inevitable. I hit that 1. Well, 0 is just suicide.
Okay, there's got to be quite a big gap between each number if 0 is
What's
suicide.
your number? So Oscar asked me when we talk on the phone, like, what's your number? And it's it was so dumb. I'm like, you know my number. You've just rung it. It's like I ask you this question every week. You utter retard. Like 078. But I like then stupidly I like to do it out of 1 to 5. Yeah. So yes.
What's it meant to be? What's it meant to be? 1 to 10.
Well, that's what Oscar does, and I want to do 1 to 5.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to. You don't have to think about it very much. And usually,
I agree.
I
agree because what's the difference between 6 and 7? Really, it's hard to decipher that.
We're not describing women.
Yeah, women are definitely described in numbers,
as they should be. So yeah, it's usually like 4. Then at the weekend, I like notice trends like the weekend. When I see you, Gabe, it just goes to a 5.
That's so nice. Thanks, bro. Me too.
Yeah, so it's nice, and I write. So the way this works is you have like a very small amount of space to write what you did in the day. So I'd say like went to Rye, saw a castle, cooked chicken and mushroom.
Yeah. And
then there's a number next to that.
Okay. I know. I really like that because I have this thing where I like need to fill my day with all these things that I've done.
Yeah.
But I realise that I only accomplished like 4 of the 10
4 is loads.
of the 10 things that I
just try and do one memorable thing every day, and that's what I'm sort of able to do, and I'm really pleased with that.
Yeah, I think that's a far better way to look at it.
New
I give myself so much stress by there's this guy on Twitter that I'm friends with who he's really, really clever. He's the orgon guy that I told you about. And I really like the stuff he says. His whole thing is like he just wakes up and he just vibes. So like he doesn't plan his day out whatsoever. Yeah. He just vibes his entire day.
I think if you're in tune with yourself,
and he says like money just comes to him when it needs to through his like vibing, which I think is, if it's true, which is really
I think this is a way to live. If you're honest enough, you can live like this. If you're honest enough with yourself and you're in tune enough with yourself to read yourself, and that's what I try to do, read into what I need, and then it becomes you don't need to. Well, you think about yourself and you're just in tune with what you've eaten and what you've done, and then writing this and seeing patterns really helps as well.
Yeah, I think my issue is I try to categorise my life far too much.
the difference, like this post-modern stuff, the difference between morality and ethics. Ethics being what we are, morality what we strive to. And if you prescribe something that's not actually of your nature, you're going to be malaligned, and it's going to cause you discomfort.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's all about acceptance, you know. Like, and you kind of I have to remind myself just to accept everything, like as I go along. It makes my brain
Acceptance is too hard.
It is hard, yeah. But I'm like, okay, I accept this is the way I feel right now.
Oh
It's
yeah,
okay, you know. I accept that this is the way it is.
I don't think most people know how they're feeling.
No, I don't think
Let
so.
alone why. And then meditating each day to get behind that and to.
There's a problem.
Yeah,
I
to sort of see yourself.
even set like meditating as like part of my sort of constructed routine or whatever.
Yeah.
Was I would rather it just be like a flow thing where I'm like,
Yes.
okay, now's a good time to meditate and I'll do it.
Well, I've realised how much better it makes me feel. So if I feel bad, I know there's something I can do that will make me feel better. Because there's so many times I've done it now where I've gone, well, I'm not worrying about that thing because I've dealt with it during this time that was a hard thing to do.
Yeah,
It's like when you have all that energy and you can't sleep. Well, have you exercised today?
yeah,
Well, if you've not exercised, of course you can't sleep.
yeah.
Why would your body rest if you haven't used it all day?
Yeah, that's the thing with my girlfriend. Like I sort of tell her she
Can I get the light?
she doesn't sleep very well, and that's because she's so busy working. She doesn't have much time to exercise.
You shouldn't expect to sleep well if you're not exercising.
I know, and I sleep like a baby every night,
Oh, yeah.
and it's ridiculous.
So do I.
Yeah. Like a baby. Babies wake up throughout the night. constantly. So maybe not like
Waking up, screaming for milk, sucking on a big
give me that titty.
Japanese animated. Yeah, we sleep like babies.
Yeah. Big old biddies.
Yeah, then,
I saw this another a meme of the world where it's like tits versus arse.
yeah.
And you can it's so blatant the deviation between who prefers tits and who prefers arse.
I prefer arse.
See, I think I also prefer arse, but then I think I'm a traitor to the white race if I do that.
I was thinking about Ricky Gervais. Is it in the office where he goes on that date and he's talking to the woman? He's like the most. So he's trying to design, I suppose, through comedy, the most autistic possible date. He's like, the necklace draws your attention to the breasts, and we like breasts because they resemble the arse. Because basically, he says like the ape evolution from fucking from behind when you're looking at the arse. When we had conversation, we're now talking to the front, but there's no arse for us to see. So obviously, the tits now create an arse on the front of the body for us to look at, and that's why it's there. Because now we have to talk to these women. Yeah. The arse has to be on the front. For us to have any attention. Stop looking at my tits. Well, at least I'm looking. Yeah. At least
I'm not looking at your
semblance
tits. I'm
of
looking
listening
through your tits to your arse.
Well, I'm looking at a recreation of your arse on your front, and maybe you'll think I'm listening, and therefore I can reproduce with you.
No, I think it is an interesting conversation, to have, because obviously every baby is just obsessed with tits. So there is this sort of very primordial reason why men love the boobie.
Yeah, but female babies also need the tit.
Oh, that's important. Yeah, that's true. But I think women are obsessed with tits as well. That's why they like to make them bigger. Or smaller, sometimes. But then the arse is closer to the vagina. And that's obviously important.
If you're hitting it from the
myriad
back,
of
you can
reasons.
obviously provide more power.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's all about velocity, really.
It's like when you're trying to come and you're just spazzing out so hard that you become more exhausted than you've ever been in your life.
No, that last like 2.5 minutes when you're like, all right, the surge has come, and you're like, okay, I can kind of feel it now.
I'm just
Pounding
going to
away.
obliterate
You're
myself.
suddenly like Hercules, like smashing a rock to pieces.
Like I say to Rose, like, when I come, my IQ reaches absolute zero. And the whole journey is just me descending towards that point of utter retardation and trying to have a conversation with me. Because I'll try and draw a graph for her. I'm like, this is my normal state. The closer I get to this point is the closer to absolute zero I'll become.
That's like...
So afterwards, you're trying to talk afterwards, and it's like, well, first I'm physically exhausted.
yeah.
And secondly, I'm physically retarded.
I feel both of those things afterwards. That's like, oh god, that's paganism, creation and destruction at the same time. You're creating something by having sex, but destroying yourself.
You have to destroy yourself to create something new. And then slowly, like, you come alive. I come alive again afterwards, because
yeah, your HP regenerates.
Because sort of through having a vague understanding of, I'm doing finger brackets tantric sex. Like, I will trip to another world when I have sex. I will be on another planet.
It's pretty.
I'll be in the cosmos.
Are you high?
I'm basically astral projecting. No, I suppose I learned to do this while high, but now I can do it without being high.
Oh, that's cool.
Like genuinely not being able to see. Yeah, but just parting the veil.
Yeah.
Going to an astral sex land of sensation, where vision is really taking a back seat. But I'm driving the car, so driving off a cliff.
But you go off the cliff and you just fly, so it's fine.
I crash into a jizzy sea.
A jizzy cavern.
Splashing down, dying, hitting the jizz wall. Start filling the car and I'm just drowning and dying. I don't know what it's like for other, like talking about sex, I don't know like what it's like for other people that have a brain.
Yeah, but you don't need a brain when you're having sex, because you're just...
It's frankly detrimental.
Yeah, it is. It just envelops the brain of the world.
Well, also all the blood is not in the world.
That's such a good point.
How do we have enough blood to fill this thing? Where is that blood coming from?
Oh my god, I've never thought
If not the brain.
Yeah, it must come from the brain.
It must.
There's no other
It's such an evolutionary benefit, because the people that will have sex with in the most unquestionable circumstances will be the one with the slimmest brain power because that brain's just going to deny that opportunity. And
so you're saying,
well,
like,
you shouldn't be fucking this person in an alley that's obviously ridden with AIDS.
So some people have like just this, acute ability to siphon brain blood to their penis, so they can just have sex in alleys whenever they want to.
Well, all of us do. That's the design.
Yeah, but some people
are
some people are genetically predisposed for it.
I wonder, like, Corona will affect like people not fucking because they think. Was it like the New York Times saying you've got to like not kiss while having sex?
Yeah, they said you can only have sex from behind.
You can hit it from the back,
or if you want to use a wall.
A wall.
Yeah, I didn't really understand that one. But,
a gimp suit.
I think they were talking about glory holes,
like the opposite of a condom, just a condom for the whole body but not the penis.
So the year is 2045, and in order to have sex, you have to buy a condom suit that covers your entire body, except your penis.
The off-license, these condoms are like A1. These huge plastic packets. You rip them open, wrench them over your head, and they've got a hole for your cock.
Yeah, because nobody's fertile anymore, so you don't need a condom on your penis.
Yeah, we've
just the rest of your body.
To be able to go on holiday to Spain, you've been made infertile by the government. So you can go on a lad's holiday at age 18.
Imagine that. That's like Bill Gates after the ID 2020, where it's like, do you have coronavirus or not? In 20 years' time, it's like, can you reproduce or not? And if you can still reproduce, you're not allowed to go anywhere. But if you can't, you're like, yeah, go to Sri Lanka if you want to. It's fine.
Well, I want to go on holiday, and that's far more prescient than having a baby in 10 years. So yes, Bill Gates, cut my balls off.
Make the giant condom. But having sex with a prophylactic is obviously heinous.
What's a prophylactic?
As a condom,
Okay.
I think.
Would you cover your tongue in cling film to eat dinner?
Some people would. If they were told this is a foolproof way of not getting coronavirus,
All delicious food has coronavirus.
you need to cover your tongue. You won't be able to taste the food.
It's just another paradoxical situation.
Yeah.
We do this thing because we're like reproduction. We've evolved to enjoy reproduction. Now remove the reproduction. Well, now I'm not going to enjoy it because I have a reproduction fetish.
I hate sex, but I love making babies. Okay. So we've recorded for an hour and 2 minutes.
That's a long time.
And I think we should take the dog for a walk.
We should.
So I think this is a good time to stop.
We'll have a bit of it.
Yeah, we'll have it. Well, yeah, potentially.
It's up to you.
No, we will definitely will. I say potentially because we're going to have dinner with my mother. So we'll see. Maybe we'll save it for afterwards. Anyway, we'll return at some point soon.
We're back on air.
We're back.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So what we were talking about our love for Tucker Carlson.
Can't cuck the tuck.
The way he looks like the most normal man that could ever exist.
Yeah, he does.
I'm going to star myself as
So
way every person sees themselves in America.
this isn't actually that interesting, but it was interesting for me because I've realised it later on.
Yeah.
Is that I had an ex-girlfriend when I was in America, and her older brother, and
Trying to cut the tuck.
No, he didn't try to cut
was
the tuck.
gonna
He was Tucker Carlson. Like, so when in 2014 when Trump first ran for president,
Is that when you had long hair?
and I was like a Bernie bro at this point. But you have to go through that.
You ran in 16, but like you were there from 14 to...
Yeah. I was there in 2012, but like I was there from 2012 to 2016. But this was 2014 when he first started.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And my girlfriend at the time's older brother was like, I fucking love Trump. And I was like, I just can't believe that you like Trump. He's just an oligarch. Like
That's
sort of
everyone I met talking to me at university.
This was 2014. By 2016, I loved Trump. So, but this was like my first, because I was kind of like, Bernie Sanders is standing up to the power. Because I didn't know very much back then, so I was kind of like this.
If Bernie Sanders was real, I would like Bernie Sanders.
Right.
But he doesn't exist. Does he?
No, and so
he's like, everyone get on this train, and then we've got a new driver, it's Hillary.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Anyway,
and they were like, choo-choo, the driver's changed, but I suppose I don't want to get off at this point now. I've just alienated everyone I know.
But I guess what was funny, and going back to what you were saying, was that because Tucker Carlson looks like every American, so Garrett, the older brother, just looked literally just like Tucker Carlson. Like even he had this sort of like ruddy complexion
Just
and this like
sexy children.
Yeah, I know. I mean, but Tucker's the epitome of like actual like virtuous American family values. He's got like 5 kids and a sexy wife. He's only got 1 son though, which probably puts him in the small penis category.
The old small penis debate.
So
Shall I go into my thesis of small penis?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
the large dick
I
society.
don't know why I got to this point of discussion, but I remember screaming at our right-wing friends like, so in the Second World War, tall men, for some reason, are more likely to live. And in war, tall men live and then have to recreate the rest of society, but there's now a huge lack of men. So tall men have longer penises, which means that big penises make more men.
Is that the origination of the...
This was at one point I created this argument to break down another argument, and I think at this point it did win. But obviously it sounds now to be quite shambolic. But obviously the big dick, the sperm, the beefy sperm that aren't long distance sperm, they're the men. They don't have far to go. They're
the
just
archer's sperm.
No, the archers are the women, the men are just the berserkers, just rushing in, smashing the egg apart instantly. And then they're like the fallopian tubes, like 2 miles when they're like, I think I'll just have a sit and a smoke maybe.
I guess the point is, the Long Dick Society, you become a member when you have sons.
Well, yeah.
So the men without sons, unfortunately,
dicks have got longer and longer.
They can't be in the Long Dick Society.
We have the longest dick in...
our collective dick.
in the mammalian the mammalian kingdom, I want to say we have the longest dick. I think we do.
Yeah, but not proportionally.
No, I still think proportionally, like gorillas have tiny...
All right, yeah, with clip dicks. Yeah, with in terms of like
if you compare primates and things,
the primates. Yeah, we definitely do. Yeah, those birds are going to make an absolutely fantastic background.
They're very nice.
Background to the audio.
So for all our listeners, there's like a metre thick green wall here. It's like the greenest wall probably in the world, and people should study it. It's just a random brick wall because the vibe's here.
But you know what's so interesting about it? Because at one point, the people on the other side of the wall were like, "Oh, it's growing on the wall too much. We need to get rid of it." So they came over.
So the birds flew into the house, pecked their eyes out, and they died.
They came over.
And the new bird owners were very welcoming.
They came over and they severed the roots. So it's an entire big brick wall covered in green foliage. And they severed the roots of the green foliage, but it lived and it just grew. Yeah, so it's its own like microcosm. So it actually grew.
I always talk about
more. It's not connected to the ground.
It's the deepest green wall I've ever seen.
It's like I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 feet, maybe a metre deep of foliage.
And there's like a million birds in there that we cannot at all see.
No, it's like
they're just living their lives in their duplexes.
But what's amazing about it's like a civilization of birds, and I think it's multicultural, which might be a problem in the future. Because there's hundreds of different birds that fly in and out of that place. And actually yesterday it was really gruesome. So yesterday I was witness to, it's awful, but I was witness to a seagull smash the brains of a dove. So it had this dove and it grabbed its neck and then it was just smashing its face into. It was really horrible and I couldn't get out quick enough. I grabbed my baseball bat and I started running after the seagull.
Is your baseball bat always next to you?
I sleep with it under my pillow.
I'm picturing you like with a samurai like sword hold of your baseball bat just like pokes over your shoulder. You just unsheath it.
Anyway, I couldn't get it, but I scared the seagull away. And then I had to dispose of this dove. And what's really sad is because doves are monogamous, so there's this partner dove that is missing its partner. But, that is nature. Seagulls are absolute pricks. Can't trust them.
They are quite hilarious as well. I remember going on this date with this girl when I was really young, and it's like...
Speak a bit more into.
She had like a huge amount of chips, and like one seagull comes near, and she freaked out because there was like one seagull. So she gets the chips and she like throws them in the air, and then like 10,000 seagulls descend on this huge amount of chips, and she's just like surrounded by birds eating chips, just screaming as they do that. And it's like, well, the problem is you threw 100 chips into the air.
Seagulls are horrific. They eat their like neighbours' babies if they think that the babies are going to be a pressure to their environment. They are omnivores, carnivores. They eat other birds. So I had to dispose of this dove, and I put it behind a dumpster. And I hope that some cat or fox came and took it. Because I'm not going to allow some
You
disgusting
made an offering with the seagull. You touched
vermin
it to
of
a
the
black
sky.
person and then empowered. Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, that's right.
I want to prescribe races to different types of birds, but I don't think really it can be done.
No, they absolutely are. What did Muhammad Ali say? Bluebirds fly with bluebirds, red birds fly with red birds.
Black people can be so racist, and Muhammad Ali was so cool.
Yeah. Well, because they're just being their nature.
He was
it's acceptable.
He loved segregation.
Yeah. Him, Malcolm X, and Marcus Garvey. You know, and
that's why they had to die.
Yeah, Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey had to die because they were proponents of a system that would work in America.
And they worked it out. It was...
Yeah, they were like, there's this picture of Norman Rockwell and like, who was the head of the American Nazi Party, and like a couple of others who were sitting in on a Malcolm X speech, and they were like the honoured guest, not the honoured guests there, but they were guests there, like, and it was because they wanted the same thing.
Yeah, because you're going to enjoy being with your family and being with people like you. It's like the most simple thing to explain. It's normal. First, you like your family.
Yes,
you like
exactly.
people like your wider family. And my argument to people is like, of course you prefer your family and your friends, don't you?
Yeah. It's the most natural thing that you can like...
And it's not immoral to do that. And everyone should do it. And you shouldn't be putting someone else's family or someone else's race above you, your wider family above your family. And it's natural. We have natural competition when we all get to do that. But at this point, we don't get to do that.
No.
And we have to put...
Well, I mean, the thing is, we're forced... So we're not allowed freedom of association. And we're forced to live together under the threat of violence. As in, like, if we are quote-unquote racist and think that, well, no, I don't want to live next to people I have nothing in common with, and
which no one does.
Yeah, but you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to think that.
Essentially, all government is a monopoly on violence. It's saying, we have the violence, and now you do what we say. Or whatever our violence is a crime, and their violence is law.
Yes, exactly. There's eternal irony where, like, you know, liberals in America want to give away all their guns, and who are they giving their guns away to? Their literal idea of Satan, who's Donald Trump. So they're like,
let's give our guns away and be run by people that all have guns.
Yeah,
that's why fundamentally women cannot vote or participate in a democratic society because they have no understanding of power.
Yeah, because there's a realm of men which fundamentally the basis of it is the potential for violence.
Yes.
And women don't understand that. So women can't just enter that realm and be like a man does because it's not the same. You're not going
because they're not in that.
You're not going to bring that violence onto women.
The monopolization of that violence cannot be understood by them because it's always external to them. They can't really be a part of it without losing, and that's why they have completely different tools that are also successful. And those tools now have been used to take our tools from us, and our tool of that physicality has now been completely removed and externalized to our gods.
Yeah, exactly. Our gods. Who are our gods?
Our gods, they. We always say they every sentence. Who is they?
They is the eternal transgender person in the sky.
I love that everyone gets to say they, and we all have our own they. But we can communicate with that same they.
Oh, I think it's funny that they is also the pronoun that trannies like to use.
That's such a good point. They became they.
Yeah. So they are like a sort of on-the-ground version of they who exist in this, like...
Fundamentally, we are against they.
But
you want to create an argument of us and them. It's they.
We're against the pronoun they.
Well, we always were.
Yeah.
You have to be. And then they said, no, that's us. I'm sorry I'm against you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I figured it out. It's us versus they.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
think it's refreshing to have a third party to speak to, because I think it stimulates conversation a bit.
Well, because we can just have the same conversation again.
Yeah, but it also allows us to, because of the conscious awareness of speaking to potentially other people, we explain what we're talking about slightly more, perhaps. Yeah. Which is a good practice, because we can get lost in the appalling esoteric. Like, we are a cult. We're talking about hidden things, and we hide them. But we're trying to reveal them to the masses.
To the us. So at university, like, the whole point of it was me making a joke against my tutors, and them saying, you'll be amazed how open-minded we were. So I once did this diagram of us and them. It was 2016, during the height of Trump, before he was elected. I made this diagram about my project. It was just called Us. My project was called Us and Them. And it was just black dots called Us. And then the rest of it was just them. And there were these different dots, and I was trying to solidify these things into community. And I made this diagram. My tutor, the head of the School of Architecture at Edinburgh, found it really, like, hysterically funny, because it was a joke. Mm. And he was like, this is so funny, and he, like, pinned it on his wall because he found it funny, but he was such a leftist, and I think he thought I was commenting as a Marxist.
Oh, interesting.
So once, like, I've told this story to you so many times, but it's like, he found it so funny. But then the final crit, where everything became immoral to when Trump was elected, and then I put on the Make America Great Again hat to do my final architecture career of my masters. And he said, this isn't fun. and he said, at least if it was funny. And then but then it was like, but you were laughing at this a few months ago before it was realised.
Because, dude, his world came crashing around him.
And it was funny to him there.
It was funny for him before, because it wasn't a reality. So, like all Marxists, they like to sort of look at these hypotheticals of what reality could be, and then, you know, and maybe he sort of allowed that. But then when it actually became a thing,
it was too funny, because the whole thing shifted. It was funny for him for 6 months, and then it was funny. I suppose the year was only like 7 or 8 months. It was funny for him for the 6 months when I was, like, joking about things that could never come true. But at the whole time, I knew these things. This sounds silly, but I knew these things were going to happen. And my context was a global context. I said, this is the context, that it is us against them, and all I'm going to do is build a wall for this project. and then at the end, Trump was elected, and then I had the hat on, and then they realised that I always supported it, because this guy doesn't just... Then, like, suddenly everything clicked for them, and this guy has always been playing a joke on us. That's why I was so fucked up. Because it was just shoving it in their faces, like, this whole time you've been laughing at me, and then now let me laugh at you.
Yeah.
But then they go, now you failed this degree. It's too funny. But all I wanted to do was show that they weren't open-minded, when the whole start of the year is them saying, we are open-minded. So when I get that soundbite,
that must have been incredible to set. Maybe you didn't set the plan.
No, I did set the plan. So I was playing this massive game of chess. Because the year before I had another game.
And it came to fruition. That's so...
Because the year before I had
another remarkable feeling to have.
It was overwhelming.
Yeah.
It was like, at that point I was completely on fire. The chants were so electric.
Yeah.
And I delved so deep into that I couldn't relate to people that were marking me. Specifically, I couldn't relate to them at all.
Yeah.
But the whole year before was me going into a different tutor. And so I was playing the same game. So through my life, I've always felt like someone's going to give me the answers. Someone's going to be clever enough to say you're an absolute retard, which they should, and say this is why you're wrong. It's here. So I went through this whole yearly battle with my tutor, who has, like, an architecture practice that's quite well known. And then he becomes, like, the head of a unit at Edinburgh, sort of a prestigious architecture school.
Yeah.
And then. So the whole year is me playing chess with him in this mental way, and it got to the end of the year, and I had this in my notes where this discussion broke down because I won, and then he was standing on the other side of this huge studio, this, like, lofted ceiling.
With other people in the room.
There's 2 doors. No, because we always would speak at the end of the day, because I would wait, and I would schedule my tutor last, because you could choose when to be, and I would make my last, and it would always be 2 hours, like 2 hours long, of a philosophical discussion about architecture.
Oh, wow.
And my solipsism, essentially. Me becoming Mr. Temple OS, saying I am God. Because I was at university in architecture, you are God creating a reality.
Yeah.
And that was me trying to say, well, no, I am God creating this reality.
Right.
And that's obviously the nature.
And he
of
was
this
trying
degree.
to say you're not playing by the rules.
No, because I was doing a meta presentation of, yes, I'm in a university, being God, and then that's why I created this natural history museum that was a dinosaur. Because it was this absurdist joke on being God and doing whatever I wanted because I was in the university system, and we had this argument at the end of the year. It comes to this point where we're standing at the end of this huge studio, and he's shouting at me, and I had to back away because he's so angry, and like the understudy guy.
How old is this man?
He's like 55, huge white beard, probably like 6'2", big like Polish guy.
Oh right, okay.
Intimidates everyone. And he thinks himself that he is sort of a rebel.
Yeah.
And then we've got the other person there's this PhD student that's like his understudy, this guy that's going to be a tutor. He's been like creating his PhD for like 5 to 6 years, like a retarded amount of time. And he's there standing in the middle trying to break this discussion down. He was saying like, if you said this to me in the streets, I would kick your head in.
Who
my tutor.
Oh, the tutor.
My tutor. And that's at the point I know I've won.
Yeah,
and I've broken him down because now his argument has to devolve to violence because he can't beat me sort of intellectually.
At bottom,
and he's gone so mad. And I had this huge email to him that was so well, I got my dad to write it as well because he's some autistic email freak. And it's like, so that this could have been CC'd around like the university saying like the way I was essentially threatened.
Yeah.
And it was like at that point, if he wanted to fail me because of my immorality, this whole thing would have blown up for him.
Would that have worked within the university system? As in,
because he literally threatened to kick my teeth, like essentially threatened to kick my teeth, and there was a witness.
Him failing you on the basis.
No, he didn't
of
fail me.
morality.
This was the year before where I passed.
Right.
But this was the game I played before because I always want.
How would have he failed you though? Do you think?
Well, in the same
he
way,
says on morality, but or basically on morality, but that couldn't fly in terms of because.
No, he's in charge of whatever.
Okay.
Happens. But,
so it's not like it goes to an external board where then people.
No, it would eventually. If I had failed, that would have happened. So you have like in architectural planning, you have these layers that defeat corruption. Like some of our clients want to go. They like. I want this building, and I know everyone around me. My neighbours hate me. This is so. I think this might be very boring. My neighbours hate me, so they're always going to take this to committee.
Okay.
Through the local council, this is going to go to committee because I'm a rich Asian man that keeps building palaces that are larger than your house and calling them summer houses. So he knows it's going to committee, but he knows the appeal board can't be corrupt and it can't really be connected to the parish, so it goes externally. Like someone in Liverpool will then, when you go to appeal, then they'll weigh on this decision and be able to be arbitrary. So I suppose if I failed, then I would appeal that decision, and people would see my work and they'd be like, because my work was good.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. So he couldn't. Like,
there are other layers. There are other layers that stop this.
Yeah. I'm just going to grab the rest of that left.
That's a good idea. So, but the whole thing is basically just my ego trying to prove I'm cleverer than people.
Yeah.
And then frustratingly, that happens. And the ego just grows. But these professors, these golems of the establishment, I'm playing a full-time game against them and they're playing a part-time game against me, so I can't give myself like full credit.
Okay, yeah, because they have to contend with everyone else in the class as well.
Absolutely.
Was there anyone else in the class who was anywhere near, like,
no, because
trying to challenge them, or was they just trying to conform?
In architecture school, most people aren't having fun because they're doing what someone else tells them to do. But I, on the contrast, am having a lot of fun because I'm not doing what is wanted really of me, but I'm also hemorrhaging marks and working twice as hard. So people will see how hard I work and they'll just be so stunned that I've taken this ridiculous approach that they know people aren't going to agree with, and they're like, if you'd worked half as hard in this other direction, you could have a much higher mark. And that's quite clear to most people around me, and it confounds them, and it made me...
Yeah, but what
made me sort of become a slight icon in the school.
Oh, that's interesting. But the high marks are not... Then that's not the badge that we should want, really.
No, the people that are most... In the academic system, the people that agree the most...
We can split this one.
Okay.
So we know for dinner.
That's brilliant. the people that agree most get the most marks. That's all it is, because you're marked by. When I realised in doing a master's, you get closer to the source, and you're marked by people that are just that I'd argue with, trying to defeat an argument. You know?
But people that are, when you say closer,
they're just
closer
people.
to the source,
They're not abstracted anymore.
Okay.
They're not these external markers. They're just in architecture, like they're your tutors.
Yeah.
Then I would like in my second year, I'd always be brought in front of the head of the school to explain basically what I was doing, and then that's when I got into that situation where I made him laugh. So there were these key meetings with him. The first meeting when I got him to say, "You'll be surprised how open-minded we are." The second meeting when I got him to laugh, and the third meeting was us and my final crit, where he said this is problematic.
Okay, so you only had 3 meetings throughout the year.
Yeah, but he's the head of the school of architecture.
Oh, right.
My tutor is a level below him.
Right, I see. Okay,
But
okay.
I get
Makes
sent.
more
I
sense
get
now.
sent to him because what I'm doing isn't within the mark scheme.
Because fundamentally, you're creating a fascist utopia.
Oh, exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. And then so when I was told in the end when Trump got elected and it changed my whole project, the project called Us and Them to instead of being, it was always a how do you say it's satirization? It was always a joke. But when the joke, when I was then, satirization. When I was laughing at them, that's when it was essentially I was told you are failing this degree. Because then I did this rebranding of the whole thing and worked like 16 hours a day rebranding everything and calling the new name was Community, and it was all instead of Us and Them, the Us is now the Community, and it became because it was always the most incredibly sustainable project.
Yeah.
And it was always about growing your own
So
vegetables.
the foundation was always there.
Yeah, because sustainability is, in my opinion, obviously what we should work towards.
Yeah.
So it was always very sustainable. Then I could just take a different perspective on the same thing, but then rebranding everything and literally changing every colour to green and making everything so that an external. So if then I go to appeal my mark, it goes to them, they're going to be like, well, this is the most kindly project. It's literally just about growing vegetables. I worked out like the exact amount of trees I need to fell to build the whole project because it was all made of like glue laminated wood.
Okay.
And then worked out where I plant.
So you had a physical project.
Yeah, then I would work out where I would plant that forest, and then I would work out how much nutrition was needed for this amount of people and where they would plant their food, and going in such depth to make it sustainable.
That's really cool, to be honest. But it's cooler when it's attached to a fascist ideology.
But nothing changed with the fascist ideology.
No, exactly. Nothing changed. Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, it's funny like talking about this now because at the time I was like within the Chan culture and I couldn't communicate this to anyone, so it was a joke. It was just a very stupid personal joke I had. Because
back then the Chans are sort of people know of the Chans as this sort of boogeyman, whatever. Boogeyman, is that right? But back in 2016, you either like were in the Chans or you had never heard of the Chans.
Well, for me it was different because it was so mainstream because I was within it, so it seemed mainstream. But it was like the exodus from 4chan to 8chan when like Moot was compromised and the next person was compromised and the whole forum became compromised. There was an exodus to another Chan, and then it was like it was good because the sort of eternal September they say when retards are constantly coming online and shitting everything up, they would go through a filter of 4chan before they could get to 8chan.
Yeah. Ready, guys. Oh, great. Coming. Okay, food's ready, so we're going to end this now. Thank you much for tuning into the first episode of the ChongCast. I do hope you enjoyed it, and please join us again next time for some more riveting conversations. Bye-bye.